I rage and foam and thunder over the rocks. Umpqua, people called me. But here, I swell and flow peacefully between my banks. The wind carries my whispers, and they echo in the hills that surround this valley. Many stories, many remembrances have I learned, have I carried. Elkton, emerald of the Umpqua, Elkton, finest folks you ever saw, Elkton, land of fish and timber, Elkton, what do you remember? Echoes, 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 echoes of the Umpqua. Out in the friendly valley, built on blood and sweat and tears, welcome to Dilly Valley, some of us have stayed for years.
Back when the animals still willingly shared their secrets with man, Raven dropped the weatherstone into the Umpqua as he was flying over, and it was found by that proud boaster, Frog. Now, anyone with any sense would have returned the stone to Raven, but Frog thought he knew best. He loved to tell everyone what the weather was going to be, and then make it so. But he soon got tired of this, and decided that he would make just one kind of weather to save him the bother of changing it every day. He asked Beaver what he thought the weather should be, and Beaver told him that the very best weather was when there was snow on the ground. The valley was beautiful, and everyone stayed in their lodges, told stories, and ate food. This sounded wonderful to Frog, so he promised Beaver that he would blanket the whole valley with a layer of snow if Beaver would allow him to live in his lodge and hear his stories. Beaver agreed, and so from that day forward the whole valley was covered in snow. The snow had been in the valley for some time when Frog was approached by Salmon. "Friend Frog, you were saying that you controlled the weather. Is it you that caused the snow to build up in our valley? Since the streams are frozen and snow is blocking the river channel, I cannot go from my hunting lodge in the ocean to the streams of my ancestors. If you are truly able to change the weather, prove it by making the snow go away and rain replace it. If you do, I will teach you how to swim in water." Frog puffed himself up and said, "Of course I can control the weather. I will give you rain such as you have never seen it rain." And he did. The streams filled up and the Umpqua roared. Frog watching knew he had done the right thing, and went around boasting to everyone who would listen that he was the one who was making it rain. This went on for some time, and would even be going on now, but Doe heard him boasting, and offered to teach him to leap and jump if he would replace the huge rains with fog, mist, and an occasional warm shower. Then she could teach her fawns the flower dance, and there would be soft, new grass for them to eat. Frog thought he would enjoy leaping like a deer, so he agreed to change the weather to be foggy and misty with an occasional soft, warm shower. Frog was soon again singing his own praises, telling everyone how he was responsible for the wonderful weather in the valley. He was up in a tree boasting when Eagle landed beside him and asked him if what he was saying was true. Frog puffed himself up and said, "Of course it is. Who do you think is in charge around here?" Eagle replied, "You may be in charge of the weather, but I am responsible for making sure that everyone is doing what they are supposed to be doing. This fog and mist makes it impossible for me to even see the ground, let alone what is going on. If you will make it so it is always clear and bright, I will teach you to sing." Frog liked the idea of him singing as loudly as an eagle, so from that day forward no rain fell in the valley. Every day was sunny and bright. Frog was sitting in his tree boasting how perfect the weather was when he saw Beaver coming from the north. He was mad because his lodge was sitting high and dry, since no water was coming down the stream. Frog was getting ready to run away, when he saw Doe coming from the south. She was angry because all the grass had dried up, and her fawns were crying for food. He turned to the west, thinking to head for the sea, and saw Salmon heading his way to let him know that the river was down to a mere trickle, and the streams were non-existent. The only direction left to him was east, but there he saw Eagle flying toward him, wanting to discuss all the dust the wind was blowing around. Frog knew the only thing he could do was to go up to Raven's lodge and beg him to take back the Weatherstone. So he did. He rushed up to Raven and thrust the Weatherstone toward him, saying, "No one is happy, least of all me, with the weather. You must fix it." Raven put on his robe of black feathers and called a council of the animals. Each demanded that the weather be as they had been promised by Frog, or that he return their gifts. Raven heard all their stories and sat and thought for some time before returning with his decision. "Frog, you have promised what you cannot fulfill, but a gift given cannot be returned. So here is what must be done. Beaver will have a time when it is cold, and during that time you may stay in the lodge and hear his stories. Doe will have a time when it is misty and foggy in the valley, so that the new grass will grow for her fawns. You will be able to leap, but not as far as a deer. Salmon will have a time when great rains swell the creeks and fill the river, and you will be able to swim, but you will have to return to land. Eagle will have a time when the sky is clear and sun is bright. You will sing, but not as loudly as an eagle." And it was so.
David Douglas visited here in 1826. He was one of the first Europeans to visit this area of virgin forest land, wild rivers, and wildlife. He came in search of the sugar pine, but it is the Douglas fir that was named after him. In fact, more plants came to be named after David Douglas than any other person in the history of botany. At this moment, however, he's feeling not quite the young hero that the Royal Horticultural Society believes him to be. Here we see him completing his journal for the day, then lapsing into his own private thoughts.
Can I believe I'm here in the Oregon Territory in the year 1826? It's a long way from my birthplace in Perth, Scotland, eh, Billy? Oh, I'm glad the Royal Horticultural Society has sent me here to collect specimens. It's hard to believe that a man like me who played hooky in school to be outdoors has come this far. Well, Billy, time for my journal entry for this beautiful place near the Umpqua River. I think they call it Elk River. Morning, cool and pleasant. Day clear and warm. 82 degrees in the shade. Sheet lightning in the evening. Winds westerly. Started at 9 o'clock, keeping as usual a southerly course. Country more hilly and less fertile. Shortly after dusk, one of the hunters kills one small deer, which will serve us for breakfast. We are just living hand to mouth. All the hunters observed that the animals are very scared and shy in consequence of the tribes doing their fall burning, the country's underbrush. Saw some fine specimens of feather today, far larger than anything in Scotland. These would produce excellent timber if the area was settled. I've collected leaves and a few nuts from my smelling tree, which is very aromatic. It seems to revive me much like smelling salts. I suspect that it has medicinal properties. Talking of health matters, I'm glad I purchased that grizzly skin from Mackay. It has made the ground more hospitable to sleep on. Me poor back and my knees are very sore and my nose runs constantly. Must be due to the climate. No wonder those wee Indians are so wee and miserable looking. And they don't look like they get enough to eat either. Acorns, hazelnuts, deer, elk, that's true. But no oatmeal. How can a man live properly without oatmeal? And tea. They don't have any concept of proper tea, eh, Billy? Passed by the Indian village again today, and the people there seemed pleased to see me. Everyone gathered around, and there was much laughter and rejoicing. Several of the women came up and felt me biceps. I now take this to be some form of pleasant greeting. They made me some feather-tip tea and some salmon cakes to eat. I gave them a deer-head shot and some beads, rings, and tobacco. I cannot understand a word they said or they mean, but I feel we achieved some understanding nevertheless. I'm almost done. I am hopeful that the next part of my journey will afford me a glimpse of the sugar pine, which has so far proved elusive.
Soon after David Douglas's visit, the British claim on the local area was strengthened by the Hudson Bay Company. The Hudson Bay Company established Fort Umpqua in 1836 under the management of French-Canadian Jean-Baptiste Gagné. Gagné established good relations with the Umpqua, marrying a daughter of an Umpqua chief. During the next decade, the fur trade flourished. Pioneers began to settle in the Umpqua Valley on land claims during the 1840s. Fast forward to 1849. It was also the time of the rush for gold in Oregon. Many a 49er passed by Fort Umpqua on their way to or on their way back from their search for treasure. It was a fine evening in the Umpqua Valley. A gold miner approached the Gagné cabin at Fort Umpqua leading 2 pack mules. A delicious aroma of rabbit stew floats on the evening air.
I come to Sept City with my gold pan on my knee. I'm a going to California, the gold dust for to see. It rained all night the day I left, the weather it was dry. Sun so hot I froze to death, Susanna, don't you cry. Oh, Susanna, oh, don't you cry for me. I'm a going to California with my gold pan on my knee. Well, mules, looks like we may be spending a little time apart this evening. I hear tell that Mr. Gagné's away on business and Mrs. Gagné's there by herself, and I may get lucky.
Only if she's really desperate.
Oh boy, I hope he doesn't embarrass us again. Poor old men have to be gone 100 years for her to be that desperate.
Boy, I tell you, I'm sure getting sick and tired of this sourdough starter. I sure wish I could throw it away. It's just, but maybe I better hang on to it for a while. We might be able to use it. Maybe I can sell it here.
He's sick of sourdough. We've been eating it too. You'd think he could add some oats or some molasses or something to dress it up. He's a terrible cook.
I bet you that sourdough's been around longer than his whole wife.
Well, that ain't saying much.
Well, good evening, ma'am.
Introduce yourself.
Benton G. Diggins at your service.
Now watch. He's gonna ask her if she wants some sourdough.
Can I interest you in any genuine 49er starter dough?
Oh,
It didn't work last time either.
Well, is your husband home? Oh, yeah, I forgot.
us?
I got my
Where
mules
we
out
gonna
here,
spend the night?
ma'am. Is it okay if I hitch them up over there by the barn there and maybe come in, clean up a little, and get a little plate of that rabbit stew I smell? You must be some beautiful cook.
She's gotta be a better cook than he is.
anybody would be.
Only a man could spend the lonely time out here with his two mules and for companionship. And I thought with a beautiful lady like you, maybe we can have a little companionship tonight. Oh,
You think you'd get better at this?
well,
They got guns.
don't you get scared at night, ma'am, when your husband's out of town?
Heck no.
Oh, well, listen, it's been nice talking to you. I think, well, it won't take any more of your time. I'll be moving on. Thank you, ma'am.
I can shoot good too.
Oh,
Run, Benton, run!
Boy, look at him go. I haven't seen him move that fast in years.
Oh, wait.
can't get that.
He left us behind again.
I was thinking a little while back, you had mentioned, I'm jumped.
Oats.
You'd mentioned oats? Would that be them wild oats you was talking about?
Now cut that out. This is a
You think I
family
could get that
show.
Okay.
Yeehaw. Yeehaw. Yeehaw.
Wow, it's a fine idea for us to do our washing together. Because when we do it at home, it's such a drudgy task. But now, this is going to make light work of it. I'm glad to see you all.
Nice to see everybody here too. So, water's hot. My mic is not. We got clothes soaking in our lye soap here, and we'll get this going real good. Many hands makes busy work. Good thing we all have an extra set of clothes, because those kids can get awful dirty. Otherwise, they'd be running around in dirty clothes all the time.
That is true. It's a good thing we have a second set of clothes. Boy, we are lucky, especially with the week that we just had. Oh my. And autumn is such a busy time of year, don't you think?
Sure is. Sure is.
Yeah, it's very hard to get all those garden vegetables taken care of. And then we got to prepare for the long, cold, and sometimes snowy winter.
Oh, yeah.
Yes, the venison, bear, and gravy get mighty tiresome without some good sauce or good vegetables to go with it.
Oh, you sure are right about that. I just finished putting up my applesauce The whole family cored and peeled one night to get 60 jars sealed and on the shelf.
Wow.
Oh, my.
At our house, we've been dicing up things and making relish and canning some pickles. And I even canned up some beets. We pickled those beets and they're going to taste really good next winter. But you know what the favorite is at our house? It's pumpkin butter. So we're making a lot of that.
Pumpkin butter, that does sound delicious.
Sure does.
It does.
Hey, you know, it's almost time to slaughter the hogs and render the lard. What do you say we all get together and do that part together again?
Sure.
Oh,
Lard
yes,
is
yes.
invaluable. You know, between lye soap, we got to have the soap, and lard for our pie crusts. I mean, it's, yeah.
That is true. We've got to have that lard for our pie crust. And it seems like there is just no end to baking those pies. You know, I'll bet someday the women of Elkton will be famous for their pies.
Oh,
I bet you're right.
could be.
There's a real good supply of evergreen blackberries starting. And with the black caps and wild strawberries in the spring, there's lots to make spring pies. And then we have apples from the apple trees we got from the fort.
Yes, the fort gave us lots of orchard stock and our first vegetable seeds and even some berry starts. So in the winter we can use dried apples to make pie, or we can make molasses custard pie or vinegar pie.
Vinegar pie.
And mincemeat pie.
Oh, yeah.
Not only that, we even take our last tomatoes, put them all together, and make a green tomato pie.
Green tomato. I don't think I've done that. No. Hey, did you all hear about? Oh, sorry. You were speaking first.
I know. That's okay.
Thank you.
You know, speaking of pies,
Yeah.
the boiled water crust is the best. You just take 2 cups of flour, a cup of lard, you throw in a teaspoon each of sugar and baking powder, add enough boiling water until you make the dough workable, and there you have it. It's so easy. Don't you think it's the best?
That's
Easy and good.
Yeah, whatever. Maybe. But as I was saying before I interrupted you, I'm sorry.
That's okay.
Did you hear about poor Franny?
What happened?
No.
Her husband has rheumatism or arthritis or something so bad he can hardly get around. Poor Fran.
Oh my, that is terrible. Well, you know what they need to do? They need to take equal parts of vinegar and whiskey, and mix it together, and then rub it on his sore spots. Wouldn't hurt to take a drink or two either.
Well, now, some folks heat bear fat and rub it all over the sore spots and then wrap it in flannel. That works real well.
I've heard of that.
Yeah, whatever. Those sore bones and muscles really are a bother, especially this time of year.
Yeah. Getting too old.
I just discovered that you can take cobwebs and wad them up and put them in a cut to stop the bleeding. It worked really well on Johnny the other night because he was whittling a whistle, and while he was doing that, he cut himself. But those cobwebs worked wonders.
Amazing. Just amazing.
Those kids, aren't they something? Keeping them busy is quite a chore. But there's so many chores, like bringing in the wood and house chores. You just got to keep on them all day to get that done.
Oh, I'm on my kids all day long. I sure wish there was a school, but there is no talk of school, so we have to do our reading, writing, arithmetic by the light of the candle in the evenings. Not enough daylight hours.
And speaking of daylight, I think we had better put our bloomers inside the pillowcases or hang them on the inside line. We do not want those things flapping about in the breeze for everyone to see.
But I think they're so pretty. Okay.
And maybe next week we can get together and make lye soap. I've been saving my wood ashes.
Okay. I'm up for that.
Good.
Or we could break bread. I have the recipe for sourdough that they were using during the gold rush, and I'll share that recipe with all of you.
Sourdough. Well, we're not ones to go around spreading rumors. Why, really, we're just not the gossiping kind. You'll never hear one of us repeating gossip. So you better be sure and listen
close the first time.
There was a diverse group of people living at Fort Umpqua. Ethnic traditions of the Sandwich Islands, now called Hawaii, China, Britain, Native American, French, and the newly arrived wagon train folks were brought from different locations to live within the fort for the mutual good of the occupants, whether it be financial, safety, or other purposes. Each group was a necessary part of the whole. Acceptance and tolerance was a must to live agreeably in such an environment. It was melting pots like these that give the American people such unique characteristics.
Shell in your rainbow cradle. Do not cry, my white shell. Do not cry, my white shell. Go to sleep, my white shell. Go to sleep, my white shell.
asleep, my white child.
Is the hole deep enough yet?
Not yet. The hole has to be deep enough that the heat from the coals do not escape the dirt up above.
Then how long will the pig roast before it's ready for Christmas dinner?
Most of the day. We have a large pig because we have a lot of people to feed, and it takes a long time for it. We have to get ready for all the people coming to the fort to eat the pig, and it's going to be the main dish.
So where did you learn to roast a pig and an emu like this?
Back when we were on the islands, before every celebration in luau, we would roast a pig like this. My grandfather, he would always dig the emu and he would roast the pig, and I learned from him when I was a young boy. It was really a tradition that was very special to us. I kind of miss that time. You have any more questions?
Not really, but my stomach wants to ask, when do we eat?
Well, let's get the fire going and the pig roasting, because we need it to be there on time when everybody comes to eat.
What is that wonderful smell?
You must be smelling the plum pudding.
Did you remember to put the treasures in?
Yes, I put in lots of coins for people to find.
We better warn everybody ahead of time. I'm not sure if everyone knows that you'll find a coin in your plum pudding. You'll have better luck in the new year.
You're right. If someone breaks a tooth on a coin instead, they'll be thinking bad luck.
Good idea. There are no dentists here to help us like there were back home in England.
My cow did not turn out very well. I'm just not good at fashioning animal bodies. The legs are either too short or too long.
Well, we have all of the animals and the Holy Family done now, so all we have left to do are the shepherds and the wise men.
Wise men? Oh no, that means camels. They'll be even harder than the cows.
I'll make the camels, you make the people. We need to get this done. Mr. Gagne said we could put our trash in the holy place, the place of honor, on the Christmas dinner table.
I'll make 3 shepherds and 3 wise men.
I wonder, should my camels have 1 hump or 2?
come for these days, full, joyful and triumphant. Oh come ye to Bethlehem. Come and behold him, born the King of angels. Oh come let us adore him. Oh come let us adore him. Oh come let us adore him. Christ the Lord.
You're with those men who set up a trading post here, aren't you? What are you doing?
I'm preparing these pelts to go downriver. Before we can sell them, we have to tan them.
How do you do that? Just leave them out in the sun?
No, it's much more complicated than that. It's a long process.
Well, how do you do it?
Well, first you have to put salt on the pelts, and then soak them in salt water. After that, you scrape off the flesh, and after that, soak them in brains or in liver. See, I'm doing the hard... When you're scraping them, it helps to stretch them over a rack like this. See, I'm doing the hard work now by scraping off all the guard hairs. After that, somebody will batten and bale them. Then they'll be weighed and stamped and sent down the river to Britain, eventually to be turned into nice hats like this one.
And that's what you do all day?
Yep.
And I thought doing my sums was hard.
Well, it's not that bad. I kind of enjoy it, really. You get to be outside all day, and I never get tired of this beautiful countryside.
Yeah, it's kind of nice. So, if it's as hard as you say it is, do you think you can need a strong man to give you a hand?
Well, I reckon.
John Kanaka to my age. Today is a holiday. John Kanaka to my age. To my age, oh, to my age. John Kanaka to my age.
Someday old Frenchie will let me go trapping instead of doing this wimpy kind of work. Planting a garden.
Monsieur Gagnier. He's smart boss, Johnny. He do things right at Fort. Kanakalua, he little boss. He listen to smart big boss.
Yeah.
I hear you grumble, McKay. You don't make garden there. You make garden by the barn. That's where the cow chips are. It's a lot closer.
What's that you say, Kanakalua? Not here, but we've already worked hard here.
No good here. No good here. Me dump the cow chips over by the barn. Too far for me to walk. Not only that, you're putting your vegetables too close together. The corn and the beans are going to get mixed up together. Over here, not here. And don't call me Cognac. I am Kanakalua.
Yes, sir, boss.
No, McKay. Do not put cigar down by the barn. The livestock will get in. Put it down there by the river, then it will be easy to fetch water pails. Do it. You listen to what karaoke tells you. I'm sure these people could make rocks grow from the trees.
You bet, boss.
Yes, sir. No. Don't put the garden over here. No. Don't put the garden over there. Man, there be a pecking order around here.
When Big Boss speak, everyone listen. When he says jump, how much you jump?
I should be trapping. This is women's work anyway.
You watch you talk. Big Boss wife Marie is a Umpqua. Many brothers. She has a bad temper. Besides, Big Boss tell you to obey me. And I'm saying, work, wokey.
Jean-Baptiste Gagnier, where are you?
Easy. I'm here, Marie. I'm here.
You tell your boys to plant garden here, by the house. Much sand by river, here by house. And tell them to plant bean and corn like Umpqua. The bean grows on the cornstalk. And tomorrow, you bring me hot tea in bed. This morning tea cold. Ugh.
You right, Johnny.
There be a pecking order here.
It is August of 1850. In 1851, Gagne will quit his post at Fort Umpqua and become a homesteader at his claim now called Wells Creek, and a fire will destroy most of the fort. But for now, the quote, movements of progress are only beginning to be felt in the land of the Umpqua.
So what's Mr. Scott doing on that side of the river?
I heard Papa say something about building a new town.
What's a town?
Don't ask me.
Are you coming or not?
I'm coming.
Oh, hurry up. You know, a town would really change things around here. I can imagine the population will grow. But there'll be a lot of new opportunities, probably. One thing I'll miss, though, is having this country all to ourselves and not having to share it.
You really think town people are going to move out here?
Well, maybe.
Boy, if anyone's going to invest in that, they're going to come up with a big surprise. It's going to be a flop. That's my opinion.
I heard it.
Well, my husband says that a town will give us more transportation and access to markets for our farm goods. But, you know, I worry about the impact of town life on our children. I just hope that this is a wholesome town and not one filled with vice and corruption.
Oh, I do too. But at the very least, I sure hope we get a mercantile. One where I can buy myself a proper lady's hat and be able to see the fabric on the bolt before I order it. Oh, and wouldn't it be nice if there was a restaurant where we could eat once in a while?
Oh, yes, indeed. And maybe there'll be a church, and then you'll have some place to wear that fancy new hat.
Oh, that'd be wonderful.
Town means no more run free. Me no stay.
I heard Oregon's about to become one of the new states of the Americas.
Towns, homesteads, all around this land. Canada, Alaska, only land left run free.
It's not just us mountain men that are going to be displaced. The Native Americans around here are going to have a tough time too.
Papa, what's a town?
Well, it is like our fort, only bigger. More buildings and stores, less livestock and gardens, some houses. No strong walls around it, though. It is open to the world. Time to quit fishing and come home.
Oh, do we have to?
All good things must come to an end. But when that happens, usually there is a new beginning. I'll see.
It is August of 1850. 10 minutes after Levi Scott and his party have left the scene, our hapless 49er and his two long-suffering mules are returning from the gold fields, having found very little gold and eaten way too much truly terrible sourdough bread.
soon shall be in Elkton, and there I'll look around. When I find them ripe prunes there, I'll pick them off the ground. Oh, Susanna, oh, don't you cry for me. I'm a-coming back to Elkton from Christmas with a bandage on my knee. Wow. Yeah. Whoa, mules. Whoa. Well, listen, we didn't do so hot on that gold pan and stuff. It didn't pan out too good. But look at here. Look at here, man. We got stakes all over the ground out here, and it looks like they're setting up a township. Boy, that might be a good thing for us here, because we might be able to make a decent living here. Maybe a sawmill down by the river, and people are going to need lumber to build here. And man, there's a bunch of trees around here. This is nice.
Here we go again.
He's a dreamer, isn't he? Crazy dreamer.
But just think how much more work it's going to be for us hauling lumber instead of gold dust and sourdough.
Yeah, but consider how much gold he found. I hope this time he can find the forest.
Well, where am I? I mean, I can see it all now. I can see it all now, man. We have a school over here. We have a store here. Maybe a bakery over here. A gift shop over here. Oh, and look at here. We got a couple wineries. Boy, this would be, I bet a guy could really make some good pure noir here. And I bet it'd be tasty.
Wineries? I don't want a winery. I am holding out for a bakery. I'm so sick of that sourdough.
Just take that sourdough and chuck it in the river. Gone. Gone. Feed it to the fishes. Yeah. Them fishes are going to eat it.
Yeah. What did those poor fishes ever do to you?
Well, yeah. Well, you know, this is a nice place where a guy can maybe make a decent living here. And maybe I can even find some local young chick that I could settle down with. Yeah, we better get out of here, mules.
You think old Benton Diggin could find him a girl and settle down here in Elkton?
Well, yeah, she's half blind and ain't got no sense of smell and ain't in the least discriminating.
Now, where'd he go? He left us here. He left us out in the pasture out in Elkton. What are we going to do now?
Well, don't worry about that. This looks like a nice place to settle down and get cozy.
Aww.
woman, you can start moving on. Oh, the gold rush is over, so honey, bye-bye. Take out your claim now on some other guy. I wine you and dine you till my money is gone. My gold rush is over and the bum rush is on.
You shoveled out the sweet talk when the taters was big, but now all you shovel is just a dirty pig. Well, stop digging, honey, 'cause you're wasting your time. This old racing train is at the end of